Hello. Today I just pretty much have a bunch more stuff to show, which are pretty much just a bunch of coding scraps, which may be useful to some people, so I'm showing that off today here. Um, I've done a couple of things lately. So the things that I'm going to be showing off today are some stuff for dungeon finding, some stuff for an autoclicker for Linux because apparently there are no good ones, and a triple monument finder. So starting out with the dungeon finding stuff. So far I haven't worked on the algorithm itself actually. I've only made routes to a little more convenient to use for the time being. So for one, I can now parse arguments properly. I mean, pretty self-explanatory, but that's the usage. There's an optional argument for if you want to print the time that it took to run. There is a config file which you gotta input, and there is an output file which you gotta input. So yeah, this is the argument parsing for it, and this down here is the config parser for it. Please don't hate on my C++. I don't think this is very clean at all, but so here I just have some timing stuff with Chrono. And what I've also implemented, which is actually semi-algorithmic, is that you're now actually able to use a Java program I wrote in cooperation with... Hey, you can actually open these? I didn't know that. Different story. In cooperation kind of with Organics, who's written something like this before too, which gives you the seeds of a specific chunk prior to Dungeon Gen, and it's just gonna give you an error if the seed is in a chunk where some structure would have spawned. It can actually handle lakes, so that's fine. So yeah, this I just made in Java. I don't think it's really interesting to show that. And then I've written a quick class, which, well, I guess I should show the .h file. Quick class right like here, which is a class for interfacing with Java. And this is using JNI, and so yeah. Most of this I just got off the internet, but yeah. And that's then being used up here, where in the seed constructor, in the seed.cpp, where it's actually calling the Java interface and getting the chunk seeds from the positions. And that's then taken and given to the actual search right here. So to now show it off, the compile hint I put up here, this is just for my system. It may vary where you have your JNI files and stuff for you. And this is of course Linux, so yeah. Right, I should maybe cd into the right directory. That's dungeon cpp. Run that, let's hope for no errors. I think this should work. I hope yeah. So then just .a.out. As you can see, it's gonna say ask for a timing possibly. We can just do that for now. This could be true or 1. I'm gonna go for 1. And as for the config file, I'm gonna take just the config.txt, and for the output file, I'm gonna say output. I think there is like, yeah, exactly. I'm just using what's kind of output still, but I can give it an argument for where it is now, which is also kind of nice. So that's gonna run that now. As you can see, there was not much delay between the starter program and starter chunks. That's just when it's actually calculating the seeds using JNI. It really isn't that big of a deal to calculate those. Although it's Java, it's I think like 31 milliseconds or something, which is quite a bit in the context of this program, but still not terribly huge. So this should take like 32 seconds or something. Yeah, it's about to finish, so I don't think I have to. Yeah, 33.384 seconds. It wouldn't have printed that if I had had left out this t-true, but that doesn't matter for now. So yeah, that's the first thing I wanted to show off. Then the next thing I wanted to show off is that I actually wrote an autoclicker for Linux, which is something that I had meant to do for a while. And so it works the following way. I can actually show you the aliases I made. So I made just two aliases for a left-click autoclicker and for a right-click autoclicker. The MID is the ID of the mouse, and the BID is the ID of the button on the mouse, and the BTP is if you want to use the left or right button. So to figure out which mouse which device you're actually using, you're gonna have to say X input. And now some of this stuff may show up multiple times, like my mouse is showing up 3 times actually here. But it's a pointer, of course, and it's always the first one, going by what I've seen so far. So yeah. And now to figure out which button you want to press, you go and say, this is Linux specific by the way, watch this the command, and then say X input query state, and then the ID of your mouse, which is in my case of course 8. And you're gonna see where my pointer is, which buttons are down and up, and button 9 is actually the button that I want to use. And if I press that, you can see that it's gonna show down or up. So yeah. So that's how you get those values. And if you just don't enter them, so if I say Python 2, I'm not on my desktop right now, let's just say / desktop autoclicker.py, then it's gonna ask me for the ID of my mouse and for the ID of my button and which button to press, which in my case is say the left button. And now it's just gonna run indefinitely through a while true loop and gonna use the button. But I've actually set it up in a way where it only works with Minecraft at the moment. I'm just quitting it with Ctrl+C, it doesn't matter. So if you see here, it's checking with this regular expression if the window that is currently active, so that's getting me the PID, the process ID of the window that's in focus, and that's getting me the name of the window of that process ID, and it's then checking if that matches this regular expression, which is one for any Minecraft window. This works for normal versions and for snapshots too. So if you just want it to work anywhere, remove this bit of code here. But apart from that, the rest is just me parsing arguments or getting the input. So that's all not so interesting really. So yeah, that is it for the autoclicker, and now at last I also have the triple monument finder, which I guess I don't have to show running, but pretty much just what I did is modify the check seed method in order to work with triple monuments, which actually does slow it down in comparison to running it without the triple monuments, but with the quad monuments, which I also wrote a finder for, but that's yeah, I think I've shown that. For triple monuments, you actually have to check twice before you can be sure that this is not a triple monument, because if the first one is the dud, then the second and if the rest works out, then you're still going to be fine. So this finds all triple monuments, of which there's not a huge amount, but there are quite some. And in fact, Raph was so nice as to run through the monuments for me, and as it turns out, there are 965 possible base seeds for monuments. What you've got to consider is that you've also got to subtract the like 100 million or something from the Minecraft code. You can just take a look at that yourself if you if you're able to use this, then you probably know where to find these numbers. Um, to actually get a Minecraft seed out of this, because it always adds that statically, and I don't bother in this program and with that in this program. And yeah, these are also always going to be at spawn, so that's fine. I've also written. Actually, I'm probably going to show the Java tools if I'm already at it. No, doesn't matter. So I've pretty much just written another Java tool, which again does the same thing and filters through these triple monument seeds for ones that are actually true triple monument seeds, also biome-wise, which I'm not checking with the triple monument CUDA finder. So really, that's not of interest to anyone else, so it's fine. If you actually want triple monument seeds, so I guess I could give you one. Not if Microsoft open right now, whatever. So I could give you one if you wanted it. That was TeamSpeak, doesn't matter. But I think that's already everything. Oh right, this is the config format. Chunk positions are denoted as x, y semicolon, and there are normally 9 chunk positions. These are just the ones Smart used. These are the spawner types that are allowed, and this is the position that the spawner should be centered on, and this is the seeds you're looking inside of. Which what actually didn't even need, but is now necessary because I'm using the Java stuff to actually calculate the dungeon seeds. So I mean, yeah. But I guess that's all that really had to be said. So yeah.